Are you ready to find your voice, fulfill your purpose, build unstoppable confidence? And are you ready to learn how to trust, accept, and love yourself enough to do the work to create what you want in life? Oh, and do you want to learn how to do it without burning yourself out, sacrificing what matters most, or compromising on your values? Then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Crystal Stanton, a certified coach, human design enthusiast, entrepreneur, and podcast host on a mission to guide women into their true, authentic success, to help them recognize their power and to step out from the shadows and into the woman they were always meant to be. Around here, we don't do grey, unaligned versions of our life. We don't settle for what we should be happy with. Around here, we do big, bold, courageous, fulfilled, rich lives, and we do it in an aligned, nourished, and truly authentic way. If that sounds like the life you want, then stick around and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. Hello, welcome to another episode of Fearless. Today on the podcast, I am joined by a guest, an incredible guest that I am very excited to be speaking to today. So today I'm being joined by the incredible Brodie Maree. She is not just my friend, but she's also an intuitive guide, a speaker, and a space holder whose work is rooted in deep embodiment, emotional truth, and soul liberation. Brodie, she supports those who are just done with performance and people-pleasing and who are ready to come home to themselves in a way that's real, that's raw, and powerfully aligned. Her story, is one of transmuting shame into sovereignty, and her voice carries a resonance that invites others into deep self-remembrance. I'm really, as you can tell, and as I always say, really excited, but it's more than that for this because I have witnessed this, this process of transmuting shame into sovereignty with Brodie. And so I'm just so honored that she's here to share her wisdom with all of us today, because she has this really incredibly unique way of blending, all of the nervous system awareness, all of those things, those tools, but also her own lived experience to help people meet themselves with love, with truth, and with presence. So this conversation will move you. So let's get into it. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Crystal, for having me. Oh, wow. This is just phenomenal.
I know, I'm so excited. We've been talking about this for a long time. So it's happening. We're here. We're having the conversation. I know. But what I always love about timing, like, because sometimes it does take a while for things to work out, to, both get on and jump on. But what I love about that is there's always huge amounts of growth that happen in between, like the initial, oh, let's do a podcast. And then by the time you actually get to it, this like huge amount of growth happens that is perfect to then be able to come on and share. And like, that's what I've been, witnessing for you, through you, with you. So I'm really excited to share that on the podcast today. So my favorite place to start, because we all have this story, especially if, we do the sort of work that we do and people who listen to this podcast. So where I always love to start is like with the moment, the moment where, like for me, it was the moment where it was my 30th birthday and I was home alone with my newborn baby. And I was like, what even is my life? Like, my life doesn't fit, my personality doesn't fit, my identity doesn't fit, my job doesn't fit, and just like unraveling on the floor. Like, that was the moment for me where I'm like, there's something beyond this that I need to go and find. So I'd love to start just there, like sort of a little bit of your journey, but like, what was the moment where you sort of started thinking, okay, maybe there's something more to this little game of life that I haven't seen yet?
Probably around my last diagnosis that I had received, coming up like 4.5 years ago. That was my real initiation piece, but there'd always been a little something in me that's been like, there's got to be something more. And, even enduring the type of pain that I was feeling and all that sort of thing, I was like, is left really all about just being stuck in pain, like the emotional pain that we store within. And then, yeah, that was my initiation about 4.5 years ago. It was just like, there's people.
I love that. And I love that too, that because I am the same, if I be honest, like always had that spark of like, no, I'm here for something different, but I don't know what it is, and I'm also too scared to admit that. And it really takes those moments like a diagnosis, like I don't know, I guess postnatal depression, whatever, to like really to actually get you to start listening to that voice inside you.
And it's scary at first, isn't it? Like, it's just like, okay, what direction do you go first? Or
Yes.
how do you tackle it really? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. What direction do I go? Right? There's so
Yes.
many directions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%. And yeah, it can be quite low. Well, let's face it, there's always going to be a stage where you reach the stage of loneliness and actually realize really that's because you've been avoiding yourself, like avoiding that real deep desire of who you actually are and who you are born to be and meant to be in this life, and like what your soul is actually yearning for, and your soul mission in life.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. I was just listening to I'm doing a transformational coaching program at the moment. I was just listening to a live video in there, and um Jim Fortin is the leader of the program, and he was talking about how, what depression really is. And he does talk about, yes, there can be a chemical imbalance and those sorts of things going on, but he talks a lot about like that depression is really your soul trying to nudge you from the inside out, being like, there's more here, there is more to you, there is more here. It is that little voice. But what causes the depression is most of us are so conditioned to ignore it and put it down because it doesn't make sense with what we've been brought up with. And so we ignore it, and it creates that dis-ease in our body. So that just made me, what you just said just made me think of that straight away.
Absolutely. And it's literally like, society has programmed us to, and please don't take it that I'm against like the medical
Mm.
side of things. I mean, in moderation, but, I see as we pretty much just mask everything. Or, well, yeah, mask everything, put band-aids on it, oh, I've got, all these health issues going on, but really, what is the truth of our body actually telling us?
Yes.
It's not necessarily something that's like so straightforward either, but the more that you dive deeper into it, the more you actually understand where that actually is coming from. I mean, we've been so blessed because the generation that we're in, we have so many resources literally at our fingertips, and ones that are like, I know some people, well, there's lots of misinformation and stuff out there. Let's face it, there always is going to be. But, there's so much information out there from, oh my gosh, I can't even think of a word right now, credible sources that have a lot of backing behind it that actually explain and, open your eyes even more as to, yes, you may have a diagnosis or some sort of health issue that you've battled with your whole life or whatever. But, there's so many elements that come to that, including our emotions. Like, even from myself, I learned that my core thing was I was actually, I wouldn't say that I was ashamed to be a woman, but I didn't like, I went like most of my life, I've really struggled with women. I've never really enjoyed being around too many women because I've always experienced the nastiness and the gossiping and all that. And for me, that wasn't fulfilling. So, like for me, I've always been the girl that's hung out with lots of with heaps, like I've had heaps of male mates, and that once again is like, well, why can't I just be seen as another man? Like, just because I might physically look different, can't I just be seen or somewhat, I'm going to say somewhat treated, because obviously the derogatory and that sort of thing is not okay. Well, that's my own personal. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my diagnosis essentially was like that suppression of the feminine side, and and obviously that escapes out into so much as well, because the more you actually dive deeper into how you actually feel, because it's all about feeling and emotions. And if you can't connect to those parts, then you're going to lean in deeper and connect to them, right?
Mm.
But I will say, like, that's always confronting in its own. Like, I feel, just a little. I've been doing quite a lot of gym work lately, and I actually said to my P, like, the class trainer, I was like, I feel like people just find it so much easier to just be going to the gym and like your body aches and all the progression stages, right? And I'm like, I feel like it's easier going through dealing with my emotions and shedding them and all that instead of actually the physical side. It hurts too much. And like that physical hurt is just so different to the emotional hurt and like that shedding, right? But like I guess like I understand that I'm different, but
Yeah.
I know like I get so many people that do the physical pain, but I'm like, what about the emotional? Let's just like release all this stuff. It's not serving us, and it's showing up in all these different elements of illnesses and all those kind of things. So it's like, let's just conquer this. Come on.
Yeah, that is a really interesting perspective that you just sort of highlighted because most people expect the physical pain, right? And they even welcome it, or they're a bit like, oh, yes, like I'm really sore. That means I worked really hard in the gym. Like we expect that. But then when it comes to feelings and emotions, we do like not want to feel it. Last resort, like do anything we can to avoid feeling that pain. But it's the same growing pains as going to the gym and physically moving and exercising your body. I've never really thought about it like that before, but it is exactly the same thing. So
Yeah,
if we can
100%.
embrace the pain when we want physical change in the body, we need to be able to do the same thing if we want emotional growth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, how boring is it being stuck in the same place?
Yeah.
Not evolving as a person, like I even do that, like that's my mentality for even birthdays. I like to reflect on the year that I have, because yeah, my birthday's in December anyways, so I reflect on the year. I'm like, man, 12 months ago I was such a different person.
Yeah.
Like just keep growing and shedding and
Yep. Yeah, people don't do that enough. I focus on that a lot at the end of the year as well. Like what have I, what growth has there been? And looking at the small wins as well, people at the end of the year will always be like, "Oh, I didn't achieve all these big goals. I've failed. I've wasted a whole year." But you are never going to be if you are, doing things, if you're taking aligned action, taking imperfect action, you are never going to be the same person at the end of a year. Like if you are repeating the same patterns over and over again, not taking any aligned action, yes, you are going to be in the same spot, stuck. But if you are taking small action over time, you're never going to be the same person. But people don't take the time to actually reflect and acknowledge and celebrate that, which is just another pattern, right? Not
yeah,
celebrating your growth.
absolutely. And like I'll also just like add on there, most people have goals that are like materialistic goals.
Mm.
I want to get a bigger boat this year, or all those sorts of things. And it's like, well, hang on, what about you as an individual and like you embodying who you actually are
Mm.
and how you want to show up in the world and what your actual mission in life is, and not just living a mundane life of doing
Yes.
a job that's not even filling your cup up.
Yeah. Yeah, working backwards, right? Working from, well, this is what I want to have. So when I have that, then I will do all of these things and then I will be this person. But we have to do it the other way around. We have to like focus on who am I being? Who do I need to be? What am I committed to? Who do I need to be to create that? And then it, like you said, if you're embodying who you really are, you're living in your authentic expression, you're being courageous to speak your truth, if you are doing that, focusing on that identity level, the rest takes care of itself in time as well. Like those other goals, the abundance, the prosperity, all of those things, that growth just happens because you're focusing on the inside out instead of the outside in.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Broken models, right? Broken models that we get taught, that's the model we get taught, and it keeps us stuck. And then we get, frustrated or angry or bitter or disappointed. And we're just like, why? Like, this sucks. Like, there has to be more to this.
Yeah.
Then we have that moment, and that's, that's the choice, right? That's the choice. Do I actually follow this, or it gets to a point, I guess, where you have to decide, when am I going to be sick and tired enough of being sick and tired and something about it.
It's exhausting, isn't it? When you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm just so sick and tired of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to talk to you today about something I saw you speaking about probably like a couple of months ago now, but
Yeah.
around, and you already mentioned it, about your body holding the truth. So I'd love for you to share, because I know this is a big piece of like your message and your soul mission. So can you tell us a little bit more about how our body holds the truth and how we can start to listen to that?
Yeah, certainly. So my probably just to give you a little background, I've studied neurolinguistic kinesiology as well. So that's, I suppose that was the part where I'm like, oh, I understand it so much more, because even from the way we even hold ourselves, I'm even talking like our shoulders, our body movement, and all that. It actually is telling us so much about what's actually going on in
Look
the
at me
inside.
automatically like putting my shoulders back and changing my posture.
Well, I mean, like, and I guess it was also something that's all like something my mum even like brought to my attention when I was a child was like, having your hunch over and like your curves stuff that actually reflects on your confidence. And, even like studying what I've studied now and all this, I'm like, that actually speaks so much because yeah, it is really, it's about how you hold yourself, how you like, and it's not necessarily how you hold yourself on the outside, but it's actually how you hold yourself on the inside, right? Um, so like just something as simple as that says so much. And like in the presentation I did a little while ago, I even got them to do like figure eights with their hips. And I was like, if you can't do that, and if it's tricky, that's actually means that you're actually storing emotions in your hips. And that's like such a common thing for people. Like that's such a common issue. I swear, everyone I speak to about this, they're like, "Yeah, I've got bad hips." I'm like, "All right, well,
Yeah,
let's do
I'm
something
just
about that."
I'm just having these little light bulb moments. So I hope you don't mind me cutting in, but I just had this little light bulb moment. So all through high school, I did musical theatre. Like it was my thing. I loved it. Except that I had claimed the identity, had the story that I'm not a dancer. I'm not a good dancer. I was very stiff. And even when I studied drama in university, the feedback I would always get was like I was a neck up actor and I needed to drop more into my body. Like I didn't really have this connection with my body in my storytelling. Anyway, fast forward, whatever, 15 years, I just recently did a musical this year, and my biggest fear about going into that space was, not being very good at dancing. But
Yeah.
I found that going back in, I actually could do it. Like I could dance. It was like this whole thing. I was like, oh, I can actually do this stuff that, my body's been asked to do. And I just attribute it to that I have done a lot of personal work, but this is making a lot of sense because a lot of that work I've done has been to release emotions, like to not be so rigid and like controlling myself all the time. Like literally, I've mentioned it a few times on socials and I think in the podcast, but my nickname in high school was Ice Queen because that's how like distant I kept myself. Like my emotions were shut down. I didn't share them and I didn't exercise a lot of empathy for other people, even though I'm a highly empathetic person. I think it was just like a shield to keep myself safe because if I feel your feelings, then I have to feel mine, and we don't do that in the world that I live in back then. So yeah, that's very interesting. Like I've literally done that journey without knowing that that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I love how like just even conversations just spark things. Like
Yeah,
it's just so powerful.
yeah,
That's yeah, definitely one of my passions. Like the amount of people that come back to me, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you sparked this in me," and I'm like, "Yes, this is
yeah,
this is like my prerogative in life to be able
yeah.
to spark." Because like you know, um, it's so important to surround yourself by people that can do that. Like,
Mm.
and it's just through, an a simple conversation of sharing journeys, and then it's like, bam, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, love
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so yes, hips, they speak so much, don't they? They
Yeah, they
really
don't
do.
lie. Shakira's
Oh
right.
yeah, that's the song. Yes, I love it. Yes, and like even down to like asthma, all these kind of things, or even I do hear a few people that do have issues with like weight loss and that sort of thing, and I'm like, okay, well, dive deeper. There's so much more. And the more you can understand your body, because that's the thing, really. We get taught anatomy at school and, all these sorts of things. But that's literally just surface level. Like, we don't even get taught, like, really how each organ functions and what things can we do to actually support it, to benefit it, like to benefit, well, overall, it's going to support our health anyways, but for each organ and all those sorts of things. But it also, yes, there's obviously other elements, like heavy metals, your toxins, parasites, all that sort of thing, gut health. But yeah, our emotions. And a lot of the time, I've heard lots of stories where people are like, oh, I've spent so much money on, seeing specialists and doing X, Y, Z and all this kind of thing to, help a shoulder that's been an issue, or, all that sort of thing. And then it's like the more that they actually understand that that issue is actually not anything that's, I suppose, like that physical element, but it's the emotional.
Yeah.
And like I know even the saying, the way is like the world is on your shoulders, right? Pretty sure that's how you say it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The weight of the world on my shoulders. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that, so being able to narrow it down and actually understand what is actually setting that off to be an issue, and then working back, well, like working from there onwards is quite profound. Like, it always excites me because it's such a mission of mine. Because I always, when people come to me or like share different things, I'm like, I want to understand every single nitty gritty thing about this, so then we can actually like work forwards to actually heal, or manage it, that sort of thing. Because I mean, obviously my body is different to yours and vice versa, like for everyone, right? Because our body, yes, but then it's like, it's most important is to be able to have that willingness, that 100% willingness to actually be able to go on that journey and explore. But I have to say, like, even from doing that, the exploratory side of things, you'll just like cultivate a whole new you as well. Like, it's just like, you'll keep finding things, and that's basically what's happened to me. Like, the more I've been able to be more inquisitive from my diagnosis. I mean, when I first got my diagnosis, I literally thought the world was going to end. Like, I pretty much stuck at home, didn't want to see anyone for about 2 to 3 months. It took me a really long time to actually, well, for me, it felt like a long time to actually get out of that space. And I'm like, so what? That's like whatever it was. There's so much more to it, and understanding it and being able to manage it, and it just opens things up. So that's, if I can encourage and inspire people to do that for their own selves. Oh my goodness! Wait, I look forward to seeing people and how they've actually rose
Yeah.
above whatever has gone on for them.
Yeah, and I love that because you're sort of talking about that that body sovereignty, and I think you sort of said it, but I don't really know if everybody is aware of how individual we all are, like bio individuality. Because if you think about like the Western medical profession, we sort of touched on this at the beginning, it treats symptoms, not causes. And then on top of that, it says, well, you have these symptoms, so you have this disease, and anyone who has these symptoms has that. It doesn't, and it's so fast that it doesn't take the time unless you really push for it and you advocate for yourself to get curious and to dive deeper and to look, into what other things are going on. So I think that it's really important for people to understand that our bodies are all different. That's not just like a throwaway feel good thing, like, oh, you're all so different and unique and individual. No, it's actually fact. And it is so much deeper than just those physical, emotional symptoms that are popping up. They're like, I don't know, they're like someone knocking on your door, but you have to actually open the door and have a conversation with the person that's there to figure out what's actually going on at the cause underneath.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's also a few really good books I kind of I refer one of them as like a Bible because it's more of like a great reference piece that you can actually look up many different things and understand it from an emotional and then keep going from there. So yeah, oh my gosh, now I have a mind blank. It's Ina Seagal and your body, the language, the secret language of your body. There you go. It's just, and then there's a Louise Hay's book as well that also speaks into this, and Your Body Keeps a Score is another book. So, there's 3 books there, and I find them great, like great little reference points to actually start off with. And I'll admit, like the amount of times I read my emotions for my diagnosis, I was like, no way. And like it was just over a longer period of time that I was like, oh my goodness, I actually see this now.
Yeah.
It's actually clicked in my mind to actually understand it because I'm like, that can't be it. That's not it. That's not the emotions. No, and like I really do encourage people to actually lean in and understand even just that to start off with, and just understand different parts of your life, or it can also be generational. We like to talk about generational side, and it even comes into the side like the piece of like I understand a lot of people, and I can particularly say even in my family, I've come from a very near traditional country family. So they're very country values, all that sort of thing. And, we don't talk about emotions, full stop. We sweep it under the rug. So I understand that, a lot of us, there's still that taboo, even though we're doing our best to like break free from that. And like we can, like our bodies can not only just store our own stuff, but it can be generational and intergenerational as well. So you just never know. You never know really where these pieces come from, but we've got to be able to release them. And like our body's literally telling us that there's stuff going on that we've just got to lean into and learn to love and release and whatever is really needed. Like it's literally telling us. But the real question is, and I'm going to go back to that question, is are you actually listening to it?
Exactly.
It's not just like, oh, I've had a really big week. I feel really tired. I need to do a lot of sleep. That's not the answer. Like there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah. Tell us more. Tell us how we start listening to our body.
Just leaning in. Like, and I mean, like there's so, like I mentioned before, there's so many resources out there, and I mean you're more than welcome to reach out to me and we can start like nutting things out. Like my biggest thing, something that I've really learned is I like to ask lots of questions, and when I ask questions it's not more of an like from a judgment space or critical thinking, like critical, like being critical or anything like that. It's more as in the more you can receive questions to make you think differently and reflect is one of the biggest, quite a powerful, profound thing. Because the more you can actually sit with those questions and lean in deeper, that's just going to ignite you into what directions your body is actually telling you to lean into, to take action or experience, there's so many alternative modalities out there, and even having that um, leaning in to those. And I mean, I know sometimes they can be like really daunting. I remember when I first had my first when I first heard about kinesiology, I tell you what, I was just like, huh, that sounds like a bunch of worry, like get stuffed, and to now, so that experience, like the name for me, kinesiology just kept popping up for me, and that's what like made me go, okay, why is this? How come I've never heard of this before? And then now it's like popping up everywhere. So for me, that was like the piece where I was like, all right, well, okay, I'll experience this a little bit and just double in. And from my journey, I've been to three different kinesiologists, and they're all very different modalities. But it's not even just kinesiology. Like there's so many other modalities out there that you've just got to be open to to experience. And my rule of thumb is you do something at least 3 times, and or like go to see someone at least 3 times, unless you are really like absolutely no. But you got to even click into like connect with that no and be, is this my body resisting because I'm too much in my head and not in my heart, I'm not listening to my heart and or my soul into what I'm actually needing. Or is it actually a full like whole body, mind, like everything is actually like no.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to distinguish what is that, like if that is a no, what type of no that is. Because I mean, you got to reach that uncomfortable pieces to be able to go through it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's you have to be curious, in lean in, but also I like to use the word like just be curious. Be curious about what it is, and go into things with curiosity and questions, like you're saying. And yes, then there is the piece of you're going to experience resistance because it's new. And even just from like a brain science perspective, your reptilian brain, the part that is designed to keep you safe, doesn't like new things because it keeps you safe based on being able to make predictions, and new things it can't predict. So you are going to experience resistance. Even if you got benefit from this new thing, you're going to experience resistance because that's just what your reptilian brain does. So you are then having to like work in like pattern rewiring, basically. So like you said, unless it is just your intuition, your whole body is like, no, not doing this. Yeah, doing it a few times so you can sort of be training your brain that, nope, this is safe, we can do this, it's having a benefit. But then also on the flip side with that no from your body, so in my experience, I'm the kind of person that I just kick the door open and I do all the things, right? I'm
You
like,
do. I've seen you do it so many
yeah. I'm like,
times.
oh, this is interesting. Kick open the door, do all the things, and then, which is great. Like, I'm always going to do it that way. I don't really care, but it does create a lot of overwhelm on the nervous system, right? Like, the nervous system was like, holy fuck, all this new stuff all at once is too much. I don't feel safe. Alarm bells, alarm bells, alarm bells. It's going to do the things it's designed to do. So, you do have to be mindful of that as well. So maybe it's about knowing yourself. It's about discernment. It's about asking your body, is this right for me? Yes, no, feeling through it. And then that balance between like pushing through resistance and supporting your nervous system at the same time.
Yeah, and that can be tricky as well, let's face
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But yeah, like, I just want to touch on like, as you had mentioned, like the unknown, the unknown is there, but really you're never going to know what's on the other side until you actually give it a go, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know the unknown can be scary, but being stuck here in the same place is really, how is that fulfilling in life?
Yeah.
But and I guess it also reflects on like what type of like who you actually keep as your company as well, really, because if you've got people that are your cheerleaders, like I have you, you're my
Yes.
cheerleader always. I know you're there, which I'm, yes, super
Yeah.
grateful for. But you know, by having that support system behind you
Mm.
as your cheerleaders, it's so vital to have that
Yeah.
because they're the ones that will just be able to nudge you that little bit more. So if you are feeling a bit emotional about stepping into something, you can just be like, "Hey, can you just give me that little nudge?"
Mm.
Or, and I feel like quite a lot of people these days don't seem to have that system, which
No.
is really unfortunate. But once again, that comes back to our suppression, right? Because from us suppressing ourselves, we keep people that actually don't really serve us in our life.
Yeah.
I've done that shedding bit, and it's very confronting because it's kind of
It
like,
is.
oh man, like I don't really have.
It feels a bit lonely sometimes.
It does, or like you realize like you can be like you're kind of like fitting into a mold around, so like if around your friends and all that, and you're like,
Yeah.
how, like that is so suppressing.
Yeah,
And yeah,
that's funny. You do sort of notice, like once you start, I guess it's a consciousness journey. Like we all have a level of consciousness, and as you expand that, you do sort of come to these moments where it's kind of an out of body experience because you're like here with your new level of conscious awareness, watching your body and your personality morph back into fit into a different level of consciousness that you used to be, and you're like, whoa, like what am I doing? What is happening right now?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you're just like, wow.
Mm.
But yeah, like that's something I can definitely encourage. And if you're not in areas where, well, if you don't feel like you're in areas of being able to meet people, how
Mm.
about you like lean into different community things, because trust me, those people will find you.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can speak from that from my own personal experience because that's how we found each other, for example.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, um, you just have to, and this is where, well, all the things, human design and all the things, but just like basically the laws of the universe come in because you're always communicating and co-creating with the universe. So if you tell the universe, I'm ready to meet soul aligned people, the universe will start putting those soul aligned people and opportunities in front of you. Like you don't have to stay as an island if you don't want to be. If you want to find village, the right kind of village that values the same things you value, you just have to ask for it and just claim that you're ready to receive those people into your life. And they will start popping up if you're paying attention. Like
Absolutely.
they'll be
And
there.
like, yes, and proximity. Like,
Mhm.
I've been really blessed because I do shuffle around a bit. And, like, just even from my experience, like, that's, I've been very blessed to have been around so many people that are so aligned.
Mm.
And like, having that backing is just absolutely profound because it just ignites so much within,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And you've got that support system so you can dive deeper into those spaces and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. And it is
Yeah.
really important because as you go through, your growth and evolution, different parts of you will no longer fit. So you'll need to release those, but those parts hold on really tight. So if you don't have that community or those people around you to support you through that, it's so much easier to just go back. It's so much easier just like, nah, I'll just go back to my old patterns because it's what your brain knows. The grooves are there, the wiring's there, ready to go. And your reptilian brain is ready to be like, yes, thank fuck, we're back here where it's safe.
Oh,
Like,
it's just nice and cozy.
exactly. Even though we're screaming on the inside and our soul is literally like trying to climb out of our eyeballs, like if you don't have those people around you that can just hold space for you in those moments and remind you where you're headed, like the self-doubt and that really does creep in and it's hard to get past that on your own.
Can
Like
be,
it's hard.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it all just, I feel like it all just molds in together. So that's why it's so vital to be aware of these things and start taking action.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Imperfect action. Like that's
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
what we're all about here on
Yes.
Fearless. Like
Yeah. And
we're not here
remember
to
that
do anything perfect.
Yes, and remember that we're not in competition with anyone. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're really only in competition with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why it's all about, stepping up, evolving, growing, all of that stuff. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a spiral, right? Growth is a spiral. So you're going to
yes,
come back around to some of these things that you're like, fuck, I thought I'd sorted that out. But you're coming to it as a different version of yourself as well. So how you
yeah,
approach it, like it's just, it's the work, it's the journey of life.
yes,
It's
it
why we
is.
came here.
Yes,
It's why we came here. But it is why it's so important, like we said, to have those communities and those people because it does take commitment, right? And it does take integrity and responsibility to commit to growing and expanding. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I want to grow and expand, but I don't want to change any of my thinking or any of my behaviors or any of my environment. I want everything to stay exactly as it is right now, but I also want all of these external things to
can
change.
I say that just sounds really boring?
Yeah, right?
Yes.
It is. And that's the trap. We get ourselves trapped because
Yeah,
it is boring, but it's what we think is safe or what we think feels safe. So we stay there, but it's so boring. And
yeah,
that's not living a fulfilled life. That's not what we
right.
came here for. Mm-mm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing
so
with
much for
us.
having me.
Oh, no, I have one more question
Yes.
that I ask everybody who comes onto the show.
Mhm.
So I'll ask you that question and then also ask you to share where people can connect with you, find you. If there's anything you have to share or offer, you can do that as well. And all of the things will be in the show notes if people do want to find you as well. So we'll do that. But my last question is, what does the word fearless mean to you?
Oh, I feel like that's just fearless is just embodying yourself and stepping into that space. Like, you got to be able to be fearless to actually fully just embody life.
Mm,
Take it as it comes and just keep leaning in. Like that's
yes.
like that fire. Embrace that fire in you. And I know you have it. Everyone does.
Mhm.
Like, yes.
I love it. Thank you. I love that question because the answers are always so varied, but also the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just,
Yeah.
yes, we acknowledge that fear exists, but also if we act from truth and love, then it's a lot easier to move forward. All right, so thank you for your answer to that question. And before we go, if people are listening and they're like, I need this woman in my life, where can they find you?
You can find me on Facebook, so Brodie Maree, and reach out to me that way, and then we can work out what you're needing and that sort of thing, and we can go from there. I am looking at creating a community, a space where we'll do like group coaching sessions and that sort of thing, so we can start sparking those things. So yeah, so that will probably be in like the next few weeks. So that will open up space and all that sort of thing. So it'll be very exciting. And then
Okay.
go from there.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so, so much. And thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got lots of value from it. I'm sure you did. And I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I really hope you received exactly what you needed from it. I absolutely loved sharing it with you. I'd also love to know what you thought. So please leave a comment or a review for me to respond to, or just come over and say hi on my socials. If you'd love to be a guest on the show, or maybe you have a question or a topic that you'd like me to talk about, then please send me a message. I absolutely love to connect. And really, this podcast is all about you. And your success. So tell me what you need to hear more of. If you really enjoyed this episode, please, please give it a like, or even better, send it to someone you know to spread the love. Let's get this authentic success movement happening. Okay, that's it from me. Big love. Now go out there and be amazing.